United States of America, the greatest country in the world. That's what we people from a third world country have grown up believing. When we were kids, if there was something close or even next to heaven, then it was America for us. America back then just had so much weight and prestige to its name. And even till this point, the very first name of a foreign country that a child learns here is America. Even the adults of here, if you ask them to name a country, they would be naming America first. Then in the second place, they would be naming their home country, because the very first country that comes to our mind is America, as the word foreign singularly means America to us. The word America is like the synonym of the words like powerful, strong, best, rich, and many other such positive terms for us people living in a third world country. Back in time, before the age of internet, just the name drop of America out in public could literally stop the crowd and make people want to hear what the person who name dropped America has to say. Because America had gained the status of an urban legend, as everybody wanted to know and hear more and more about it. I remember we kids used to gather up and go to the house of that uncle who had visited America to hear stories regarding what is life like in the heaven called America. Because back then, the greatest achievement a person could have attained in his or her life was visiting/being settled in America. You could literally make the cure for cancer and people of here would still go like it's alright, but it ain't no bigger achievement than being settled in America. People were obsessed with America back then, like the current Weiboos and Koreaboos are obsessed with Japan and Korea. But these Weiboos and Koreaboos are relatively new term compared to the OG America boo. And I believe all these real life examples gave you an idea of how big of a deal America was for us. However, in recent years, America has been suffering from an Oscar syndrome. Just like how Oscar has almost lost all of its prestige in recent years, as people just don't care about Oscars anymore and don't think of it as any big deal, something similar has been happening with America after the age of internet, as it's also suffering the same fate as the Oscars. Because recently in our country, EDB was made open. If you don't know what EDB is, it stands for Electronic Diversity Visa System, in which you fill up a form online, and if you are selected, then you get to live in America and you are also given the green card. And that opportunity for us to go to America is a really big deal here. DV is almost celebrated as a nationwide festival here. As everyone talks about it throughout the month, people stay in line of cyber cafes to fill the form and wholeheartedly pray to God to get selected. But this year, something weird happened. People were just not applying for the DV. I mean, of course, it still went oversubscribed, but there sure was huge difference in hype and craze regarding DV this year compared to the past years. And it's not the patriotism towards the country being the reason behind why they are not applying for the DV. Believe me, people of here are dog-tired from the government. They have lost all their hopes from the government due to what? They don't see a bright future for the country. So they just want to leave the country and settle in some other country to live a happy life, no matter through whatever means possible. Yet still, they won't apply for the DV. The same people that worshipped America as heaven in the past now don't even want to give it a try to an opportunity that could make their lifelong dream come true. So I asked many people, why is it that you guys are not applying for the DB? And almost everyone, in one way or the other, replied with the answer, I don't want to get shot. Though they were saying this answer sarcastically, but this has become a real thing. People fear going to America because they think they will get shot. People believe that America is not a safe nation. And it's really weird that the country we all grew up believing to be the best country in the world is now considered an unsafe nation. And this is the journey of how America lost all of its prestige and went from being the best country in the world to an unsafe nation. By the way, side note, I'm not trying to defame America or anything, and whatever I say in this video may not be 100% factual. Also, neither is this journey from the best country in the world to an unsafe nation is a real thing. Everything in this video is just based off of the change in the people's perspective from a third world country towards America after the age of internet. I know a person shouldn't be prejudiced towards any country and shouldn't stereotype the whole nation just based on some tragic incidents or news regarding the country, but this is something that almost the whole world has agreed upon, and it's that gun rules in America are really messed up. I have heard from a guy of our country who now lives in America say that how you can just go to Walmart and buy guns with no question asked. But I'll come to this gun topic later. Well, you see, we as the people from a developing nation always considered America to be an epitome of greatness and thought of it to be the most developed and advanced country in the world in almost every sector, like best education, best healthcare, best infrastructure, most fair laws, and no poverty at all in the country. Turns out those things aren't really true, as America is best in none of them. I know no country is all perfect, and even this imperfect America is still million times better than my own country, and it's my own fault that I was so delusional regarding America, as I used to consider it to be no less than a heaven. But sometimes I also feel like maybe it's not only my fault for this delusion, because I know America always claimed itself as the best and superior to everyone around it, and always promoted itself in that way on the global media. But one of the biggest shock to us was finding out that American education is not really as great as we thought it to be, because even after having the best universities in the world, the students of there can't even answer simple basic questions, where the YouTuber goes up to Harvard students and asks them a simple riddle or a math equation or a very simple geography question like name 5 countries in Asia/Africa, and those Harvard students can't even answer that. But again, those videos might not be the complete truth. Maybe the YouTuber edits out the clips of those people who answer all the questions correctly and only keeps the footage of those people who couldn't answer it, so that the video is more fun and the YouTuber gets more views. You see, every year thousands of students from here go to US for their further studies, and the reason they choose US is because here it is considered American education is the best in the world. But then you see those Harvard students' videos. And I also learned this interesting fact that in US, students are taught there that there are only 4 oceans in the world. And it's just recently on the June of 2021 that they finally recognized Antarctic Ocean as the 5th ocean. While we people from a third world country were since very young age taught that there are 5 oceans in the world. I know it's not that of a big deal or an earth-shattering revelation. It's just that America is not supposed to be behind a third world country like us. Regardless whatever the topic or subject may be, doesn't matter how small it is. America has always been like that bright kid in the class towards whom we have always been envious of, considering it as the epitome of as developed as a country can get. Meaning America also must have one of the most developed societies in the world. But when I look into their society to see how the people of the most developed country lived, I find that people over there are still fighting between men versus women. In America, one of the person I really admire and respect is Jordan Peterson. Such a wise guy, but these interviewers ask him only about the topics that involve men versus women agenda. Like, come on, he has such vast knowledge about various aspects of life, and all you guys ask him is the topic that involves men versus women agenda? Not only that, after the rise in popularity of Andrew Tate, this topic of men versus women has literally become like America's national issue. America is considered one of the most developed countries in the world, and this is not some medieval time period. So shouldn't this topic of men versus women not even be relevant in the context of today's American society? Moving forward, another weird thing about America or American society is that there is this concept of bad neighborhood. It is like a certain area in a place of a city where lots of crimes happen, and regardless of the time you walk into such area, you are bound to get robbed, stabbed, shot, or other messed up things like that. America has heavily promoted itself with the term freedom a lot, as in like a person in America gets the most freedom, but this bad neighborhood thing contradicts that freedom claim, because it turns out a person in America can't really exactly walk freely everywhere, which you can do in a third world country like ours. I mean, of course crime happens here too, but it's not so place-centric like in America. Due to what? The only bad neighborhood that exists here is the place where paranormal/ghost activities happen, or place that is haunted, making people afraid to go there, hence turning it into a bad neighborhood. Since childhood, we've been watching Hollywood movies, and those movies were how we got introduced to America. And watching one Hollywood movie after another set in various aspects of America, showcasing its famous monuments, tall buildings, advanced technologies, and culture and way of living, our consumption of all that American content in such large quantity and American lifestyle being a mainstream culture has taken us from just being exposed to America to being overexposed to America. And all that has given people this false impression/illusion of I know everything about America, to the point that people feel like there is no need for him/her to visit America in person, because he/she believes they have already seen that's to be seen in America. Not gonna lie, growing up watching Casey Neistat's vlogs, I do feel like I've already seen everything that's to be seen in New York, to the point that there is this fake Mandela effect memory of me visiting New York, which subconsciously somehow sure has decreased this lifelong desire of mine to visit New York, to the point that it's almost dead. And this phenomena has happened with many people in such an intense rate that almost everyone who dreamed of visiting America at least once in his or her lifetime, if Mr. Beast comes up to them telling, "I would make your dream come true of visiting your dream country, all on my expenses," the same person who once used to dream of visiting America currently would be choosing countries like Japan, Switzerland, Maldives, or some other European countries over America. I don't know what it is, but the fact that America and its culture not being a mystery to us anymore sure and somehow has decreased our interest towards America. I remember while we were kids, we used to hear, especially for New York, from the people who had been there telling us, "Kids, if in future you guys ever visit America, especially New York, be sure to visit north of New York. You would find Statue of Liberty. Also do visit south. You would find this place where this famous Hollywood movie was shot. And don't forget to visit east. You would find Empire State Building there. And do not miss the west, because there is Times Square where it's really fun to be at." But nowadays, if you mention that you are going New York, the very first thing people around you would be mentioning is Bronxville, telling you to avoid that place, and would be giving you travel advice like, the moment after you land in New York, don't let your guard down even for a second. And after you reach the New York downtown, don't go anywhere from there, because if you go north, you would be robbed. If you go south, you would be stabbed. If you go east, you would be shot. And if you go west, you would be arrested. And don't even be thinking of riding New York subway. It's too risky, almost life in that situation. This has become the perception of America. And this change in perception towards America after the age of internet is not something that has happened with only people around me or only with the people of my country. Because nowadays, everyone, regardless of their nationality, loves to hate on America on the internet. It's like the internet's unspoken rule or norm that everyone must hate America and look down on America. And seeing that was a real shock to me. The country that everyone once adored is the country that everyone hates now. With the statement towards America like, "You can never trust America. America only cares about oil. Never take financial help from China and never take military help from America. Being an enemy of America could be dangerous, but being America's friend is lethal. America bombs innocent Middle East countries." But again, I ain't no diplomat, so I shouldn't be going deep into geopolitics. But the point is just that internet loves to hate on America. No matter what way possible, they just want to look down, make fun of, and hate on America. So whenever a tragic incident like school or mass shooting happens, the internets get flooded with the memes like, "This is America. The design is very American," or many other such insensitive memes like that, which mocks the tragedies such as school shooting, mass shooting, robbery, police brutality, racism, in such a way that it showcases America as a really unsafe nation. And it's kind of funny seeing how the tables have turned. The same country that labeled this region unsafe, where my country exists, through the stereotypical depiction of our region in its media, is now being labeled unsafe by the world. You see, growing up watching Hollywood actors and them always being so kind, nice and humble off camera, and their constant news of donating to these and that charities had made us feel like American people are the kindest. But then since last couple of years, these Karen videos are really getting viral on social media, and all those social experiment videos which test if people would help a stranger or not. In those videos shows American people are very less likely to help a stranger, and those Karen videos showcases people there are really rude and so entitled, and profanity is so common there as everyone curses out in public a lot, with problems like addiction, homelessness, also with so much hate inside of people for one another, that a subway worker gets shot because the worker put a little too much mayo on a sandwich, and the police think just sounds scary, with all those incidents of police brutality which has generated so much hate towards police from the public that it can be seen in rap songs, movies and social media, as they are always depicted as the bad guys in them. And with also the recent glorification of serial killers and psychopaths in the media, with the stats like an average American walk past 16 to 36 murderer in his or her lifetime, and America having the most number of active serial killers at any given time, ranging between 25 to 50 active serial killers, with the 70% of all known serial killers being from America. Stats like this have really made people think of America as a really unsafe nation. Well, I talked about so many topics, but how could I forget this really important one, which is healthcare. Now coming to it, I knew it for a very long time that the healthcare is really expensive in America, but I didn't really have an exact idea of how much expensive it was. But after the recent incident with Eli Lilly, where a troll account had tweeted, "Insulin is free now," and the chaos that tweet had caused, and in the midst of that chaos, I do realize that the insulin that cost around $10 here, the same insulin cost about $90 in America. To explain this healthcare situation in a better way, I had once read an article that talked about the story of a man from our country living in the US. By the way, not sure if the article is 100% correct. They could have exaggerated a bit, but it was written there that man flew from America to here, which is like 8,000 miles away, got his dental issue fixed, flew back to America, and all that still costed him half the money it would have costed him if he had gotten his dental issue fixed there in America. I know no country is ever all perfect, but America having imperfection is really shocking to me because it's not supposed to have one. But there are also truths like public transport is really inconvenient / bad in America, healthcare is very expensive, and education is just so expensive to the point that it's not worth it. Because even after all that education and paying so much for it, it still won't make you capable enough to answer basic geography questions and solve simple riddles. Instead, I've heard that 7% of American adults think chocolate milk comes from brown cows. But as everything has two sides to it, so many people believe all these things mentioned till now are the things that can be ignored for the opportunity that America provides to the people living there to make their dreams come true, as America is the biggest economy in the world. But what cannot be ignored is gun violence, which all these charts shows. Number of deaths, number of children killed, teens killed, mass shooting, and various other shootings, all from January 1st to the month of December 6th. These constant news of gun violence in the US is the main reason that has caused all this image of America as an unsafe nation. But again, the fact that people are willing to risk their lives by going through the Darien Gap just to enter America must mean, regardless of its problems, America still is the best country in the world.